Hey folks, North Country Knucklehead here. Got a little rain coming down Saturday morning. Heading to Sperryville. If you don't know where that is, it's not important. Anyways, was listening to something on the news. Well, I don't know if it was on the radio or the television, whichever it was, but about some executive order that Trump signed dealing with religious organizations and their freedom of speech, talking about politicians or politics or voicing their opinion, and that it violates separation of church and state, and there's some freaking Johnson Amendment or something like that. I don't know all the gory details on that stuff. I have a daughter who's kind of a history specialist. She could probably explain that to me a whole lot more, clarify that for me with what exactly they're talking about. But I want to just get back to the simple thing about separation of church and state. And from what this redneck learned in a public school in upstate New York, was that separation of church and state means the government cannot tell me what religion I have to practice or restrict me from the religion I want to practice. It has nothing to do, in my view and understanding, with what the church has to say. The church, the pastor, the priest, the reverend, the rabbi, it doesn't matter, can say whatever they like. They can agree with stuff, they can disagree with stuff. They can believe in their faith that this is what is right, and what the government may be doing, or even a private industry may be doing, they can disagree with that. And it's not a violation of church and state, because that is not to restrict the religions. That is to restrict what the government can do in regards to that. Now, do some religious organizations preach hatred in an essence? Sure, all of them do when taken to the extreme. But that is still their right. I get kind of wrapped around the axle. We talk about freedom of speech, and people are like, well, what they're saying is rude or insensitive or vulgar or whatever it is. It's called freedom of speech. I can say whatever I like. You can be the most eloquent speaker in the world, and what you're saying may horrifically offend me. It's not the exact words, it's how they are composed together and the message that they are relating. But once again, regardless of the expletives or lack thereof, the country that we live in allows us to speak our mind. It allows us to be wrong. And that's probably what people maybe sometimes forget. They're short-sighted. I can say whatever I like. Now, I can't do whatever I like. And there's a difference. I could have a point of view on a topic that is highly controversial, incensing. But if I'm just speaking about my perspective of it, and I am not acting in a way to harm or take away from someone else's rights and privileges and freedoms, it's just my words, it's just my speech, it's just my opinion. I'm allowed to be as big an idiot as I want to be, so long as my actions don't violate the law. And I think everyone's moving to or toward, I take that back, not everyone. There's a movement to clarify our speech, or to clean up our speech, to not be offensive, and that's wrong. Black Lives Matter. I 100% support what they say and their peaceful protests. But when the protests that Black Lives Matter or any other organization participates in leads to violence, theft, destruction, then that breaks the law. It's completely different. We are allowed to peacefully assemble and speak our mind, right or wrong. We are not allowed to assemble and destroy. So for anyone that may disagree with President Trump, and I do on quite a few things, with his executive order regarding lifting some of these limitations, real or perceived, kind of influenced, on religious organizations, suck it up, Buttercup. Your right to complain is the same as theirs to endorse their feelings, their position. I won't even say their feelings, their position on a topic. I guess that's all I got. I was just going to speak a little bit on the separation of church and state, but it rolled into that whole bigger aspect of the First Amendment. Because what I'm saying right now may be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong. But that's okay. I'm allowed to. So long as my words don't become actions that violate people's freedoms. And exercising our freedoms is a critical part of maintaining those freedoms. If you believe in freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, you need to listen to the opposition and then debate them, not in a yelling and screaming, but through your own voice, because you have that right to do that. You have that freedom to do that. If you're a supporter of the Second Amendment, you need to not just be the closet gun owner. You need to participate. And that doesn't mean that we walk down the streets doing open carry with our AR-15, our granddaddy's shotgun, or our high-capacity, low-volume handguns. That's not what that means. But you need to be an active part of that. Because if you don't participate in supporting that, it strengthens the opposition that it's not necessary. Just like when people talk about freedom of speech, they should not be restricting anyone's speech in that process. Or when people are talking about freedom to choose religion or to not choose religion, they need to participate in that side, not to stop the other, just to participate in that and be a part of it. right, I better pay attention. I'm getting some rain going on, and we never know when Bambi or Thumper or Flower or one of the other woodland creatures is going to want to try and cross the road. So that's all I got for now. North Country Knucklehead out.